Oh, hold on. There we go. I hit the wrong button and it wasn't changing the slides. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Bethany Reisch. I've been working for Northshore for a little over 3 years now. For about 2 years of this time, I've been in charge of the library website. And what I plan to do today is to tell you a little bit about how our website's grown over the years, some of the problems that we've faced, the lessons that we've learned, and how you could not make the same mistakes that we've made. One of the great tools that I've discovered in my time developing our website is the Credo LibGuides. And I'm going to tell you about these LibGuides and how they've helped us out. And then at the end, I'm going to do a little walkthrough that will show you how to add these pages to your website. All right, and if I have a habit of talking very quickly, if I start to go too fast for you, just type in the thing that I need to slow down and we'll slow things down a little bit. So first thing that I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about Northshore Technical Community College so that you can understand why having the LibGuides is so important to our college. We currently have physical libraries located at 4 of our 6 campuses. These campuses are the Florida Parish campus, the Hammond area campus, the Sullivan main campus, and the Connect to Success campus, which is also located in Hammond. In a few more months, we're hoping by fall 2017, we'll have a 5th physical campus open in Lacombe. The library also serves students strictly online at the Pearl River Institutional Correction Center and the St. Tammany Center. We do have some professors who travel to these campuses to teach, but for the library, we only have online services there. These are an example of some of the programs that we offer. We have 23 different programs. Not every program is offered at each campus. For example, Connect to Success offers very few technical programs, but instead focuses on things like criminal justice, business, and general education. The Florida Parish campus is the only campus with the Vet Tech program and the Culinary Arts program. And in addition to these programs, we also offer classes in adult education, and we have an English second language program. The student enrollment has been steadily increasing. Each year we have more students. However, our number of librarians has remained the same. It's just 2 of us. Margaret and I are currently working at 4 libraries, which means that we each have a split week where we divide our time between the campuses. And in order to fill in the gaps, as far as time is concerned, we have our SGA students come in and they work a set number of hours each week on each campus. All right, so now I'm going to go into the library. The 2 main parts to pay attention to here in our mission statement are that the Gator stands for Global Access to Online Resources, and that again, within our mission, we emphasize the importance of online services in addition to our physical library sites. All right, and then this is about the development of our library. Northshore was created by joining several community and technical colleges together. In order for the college to be fully accredited, I can never pronounce that right, I think I got it this time, accredited, the creation of the library was necessary. In spring of 2013, the Gator Library was created, and Margaret Keller was hired as the library director. Margaret began creating policies for the creation of the library and working with the deans of each campus to create a physical location for the library on each campus. Then in fall 2013, the Sullivan main campus, Hammond area campus, and Florida Parish campus branches were opened, and I was hired as a librarian here. In the fall of 2016, the Connect to Success campus opened, and now we're hoping that fall 2017 we'll have another branch open in Lacombe. We're also hoping that we can get another librarian soon, because otherwise it's going to be the 2 of us between 5 branches. So why do we want to have everything online? When Margaret was designing the library, she determined that the best way to serve the students would be to focus on online resources. NTCC has 4 physical libraries, but only 2 librarians. Our students are spread out across many campuses, which means that working online allows Margaret and I to reach more students than we can reach by simply being on campus. In order for us to purchase a physical copy of each book needed for every campus, we would face an overwhelming cost. Additionally, purchasing physical copies would be very time-consuming, as we'd have to order the books, wait for them to arrive, process them, and so on before we could actually allow the students to use them. If we somehow ended up with a copy of a book for only one campus, then anytime a student from another campus needed it, we'd again be faced with the time and cost of shipping the book to the other campus. And finally, by having our resources online, we allowed the students access wherever they may be, whether they're in class, looking at the book on their phone, or at home reading it on their computer. So for these reasons, we decided that our library was going to be 99% online. We do have several books on the campuses, but those are mostly things like encyclopedias, dictionaries, citation handbooks. Everything else is online. This means that our website becomes our third and most important librarian. Often the students may never meet Margaret or myself except when we speak at their classes or in orientation. Most of our communication is done online through email or over the phone. We have to ensure that our website is easy to navigate and helps the students find exactly what they need. At the beginning of each semester, Margaret and I speak at orientation. We teach the students how to find the website, the basics of using it. We hand out research guides that we created that walk the students through how to search for online information. And we make sure that they know how to reach us when they need help. We also work with our professors to come in and speak to the classes when they're working on their first research paper of the year. We walk the students through conducting research step by step, and most importantly, we make sure that the students learn how to navigate the website and how to reach us when they have a problem. We also conduct surveys each year to ask the students how we can improve the website, and after every class presentation, we ask the instructors to fill out an online survey that'll let us know how we can better explain things to the students and if they found our research guides helpful. All right, so at this point, I'm going to show you how our website has changed over the years based on the feedback that we've gotten. This is the first version of our website, and it was quite simply a list of links that went to different resources available to our students. We had no control over the website. In order to change anything, we had to email our tech support person, who would then email the webmaster that the college hired. The webmaster would then make the changes when his time permitted. We knew that this system wouldn't work in the long run. We needed a website that would allow us to control what was posted and when. We decided to use the LibGuides as they would allow us a lot more control. We could make and edit the pages on our own. The LibGuides can be created and edited with little experience in HTML or other forms of coding. And additionally, many of the students at LSU are required to create a LibGuide page as part of their MLIS training. So by working with LSU, Margaret was able to have the students design 3 pages: adult education, care and development of young children, and English, while she focused on creating a home page. And this is our second version of the website. We have a large box at the top where we posted about current events. Anytime we had to change the library hours or we had an event going on in the library, we would post about it here. On the left-hand side, we had our library search box. This allowed the students to type in what they were looking for, and it would take them right to the library databases. Below that, we had a list of the databases with descriptions about them. And on the right-hand side, we could post a brief blurb about whatever item we wanted to feature that month. And then when you scroll down the page, you would continue to see the database list on the left and a few other boxes on the right, where we talked about things like how to log in when you're off campus. And then finally, on the bottom of the page, we had the library hours. And this is the bottom of the page here. Again, the website was a lot of writing and almost no images or anything to break the page apart and make it easier on the eyes. This is the adult ed page that one of the students designed for us. It looked very nice. It gave the students a lot of information. However, one issue that we faced with having the students from LSU design the page as opposed to designing them ourselves is that a lot of the students would put in links or books to articles from the LSU library that we didn't have access to at Northshore. Margaret and I then had to remove these items from the pages. But otherwise, the students did a really great job setting these pages up. We actually still use the adult education page. We just update it. All right, so once the basic design was set up, Margaret asked me to take over the guides. Due to time constraints, she needed to focus on other projects. We had encountered some difficulties at first when convincing the faculty and staff members of the importance of the library. Many of them were not used to having a library on campus, and a few believed that there was no need for a library. We needed to show them how we could help them. So we decided that we should look into creating pages for each individual subject area. I decided to start with the career training guide. We no longer use this guide, so it's been deleted, and I don't have a photo of it, but it was the first guide I ever created, and I'm going to be honest and say that I'm actually kind of glad it's deleted because it was very, very bad. It was a lot of text, no images, and in some places, I'll admit, I copied straight word for word from the syllabus for the class, but it was a start. I began to learn my way around the pages. So luckily, I spoke with another librarian about some of the issues I was having, and as she maintains the LibGuides for her library, Shanna from Delgado was willing to help me out. I met one-on-one with her, and I was able to learn a lot about creating the LibGuides, and most importantly, she told me that Springy had tutorials that would walk me through many of the steps that I needed in order to learn to create the guides. Somehow, I had never realized that they have the tutorials, and if you are a beginner, I highly recommend you check them out. I began working through these tutorials, and it's really helpful when you read the instructions because they walk you step by step through all the basics that you need to know. I also attended a few conferences where people discussed creating library web pages, and it was here that I learned about the 3-click rule. I don't remember what conference I was at or who was speaking, but it's something that really stuck out to me, and I've taken it very seriously when I try to design my pages. It basically states that a patron should be able to find anything that they need on your website in 3 clicks or less. And with college students, that's really important because if they have to do more than 3 clicks, they're not going to keep looking on your page. So at this point, I began to really focus on creating the class subject guides. My goal was to have a page for each major that the university offered. The page would contain all the information that the student would need for the class. It would contain basic information about the class, websites the instructor recommended, books from the library, and so on and so forth. I knew how to create templates now, so I assumed that it would basically come down to creating a template, then filling in the information. Well, you know what they say about assumptions. It didn't go that way. The creation of each guide really came down to how willing the instructor was to help us. Some of them were thrilled and quite willing to help, but others didn't really have much interest because they already had a huge workload of things that they were working on, and they saw this as just one more project that we wanted to do on top of it. So we began working with those who were willing to create the pages. And once we had the first few pages set up, I then worked to create the additional pages based on what information I could find for the area. And this is an example of one of the nursing pages. At the top, I set up a search box narrowed to fields that I felt the new nursing students might find helpful. As I was new to creating search boxes, it's not very pretty. I thought that it would help make the searches easier. Below that, I listed books, journals, practice tests, and what other information I could find in our databases. And again, it very much became a long list. And I cannot emphasize enough, don't do the long lists. People do not like them. All right. I also included a description about the various programs that we offered, the classes that you needed for that program. This information here was basically just photo that I took straight from the class description in our student handbook, and I pasted it in there. All right, so once I had the pages set up, we sent out surveys to see what the teachers and students thought. We handed out the surveys in class, and we emailed them out online. We also examined the statistics system within LibGuides itself that allows you to see how many views each page gets and how many times a link is clicked. And quite frankly, no one was impressed with our web page. And looking back, I can see exactly why. The students felt that there was too much text and not enough information, not enough images. They had trouble finding the information that they actually wanted. The instructors didn't find the site very useful either, as they weren't really sure how to use the resources that were contained within it. Margaret and I responded by adding a brief section on how to use each database to our classes and our orientation sessions that we had. About this time, we were also preparing to swap to LibGuides version 2, and we decided to take advantage of the feedback to completely recreate the website. We purchased the CMS part, and we began recreating the pages using that program. All right, so CMS allowed us to create a LibGuide that the students felt looked more like a real web page. They found it a lot more visually appealing, as we can include photos, images of the books, videos. And I mean, I know you could include those things in version 1, but I didn't know how. I learned how to do it for version 2. At this time, I also found out about the pre-created Credo LibGuides. And what they are is they're basically pages that they have already set up that has the majority of the work done. And I would then show this page to the faculty members, and they would tell me if there were items that they didn't need or if there were additional items that they could use. And since the page was already set up, they liked this because the majority of the work had already been finished. Credo offers 57 different subject guides, I believe. This is just a few random topics that I pulled off of there. Okay, so this is the new English page. As you can see, we have a video here that explains the importance of databases, and it also has a few links to databases. We no longer attempted to include every database on every page. We adjusted the tabs across the top here to link to different subject areas that were available. And we also made an effort to keep each page very short with a minimum of scrolling. We broke down the information into a bunch of different boxes, with each box based on a different area. And this is one of the Credo pages here. They included the photos of the book covers, which the students really like. The book and information pages were also broken down into categories that allowed the students to scroll through the page and quickly find the information they wanted without having to read a lot of information. And this here is one of the information pages. It's alphabetically divided with topics, which again allows you to quickly scroll through the page and find exactly what it is you're looking for. All right, so this right here, this is our nursing page. It's very different from the previous one. The students found it a lot more useful. They're particularly fond of the anatomy and disease pages, as they often have papers on these areas, and they can see right from the start when they click on the nursing page where they need to go. And again, here's one of the book pages. It makes it very easy to find what you're looking for. The instructors like these pages because it includes a lot of encyclopedias and dictionaries. In the past, hold on one second. Excuse me. In the past, they would tell the students to go look information up on a disease, for instance, and the students would go to WebMD or Wikipedia or Google, and they would find information, but it wasn't always the correct information. And once the students were told to come here where they have, you know, quotable, credible sources, the teachers really appreciated that because they knew their students were getting good information. They were also very pleased to find that there was a great many photos included in the system. A lot of times they want to include images in their papers, and the teachers know that they're violating copyright if they include just whatever random photo they find, but a lot of the teachers don't know how to find images that they can use within the copyright and how to teach their students that. So through the Credo system, they are allowed to use these images in their papers, on their posters, because when we sign up for the system, we get the rights to use those in the papers that they're writing for class and all. And so the teachers are very happy with this. All right, so the student and instructor feedback about the new pages has been great. The instructors are thrilled. We've made it a point to meet with all the instructors from around the campus who teach the same subject area when we have their page set up. We get all of them into the room together. And we found that that's really helped because when they're together, they're a lot more willing to talk about what they do and don't like. Because a lot of times, one of them will touch on an issue and the other person will be like, oh yeah, I agree with that, or I disagree. And so we're able to get better feedback as opposed to meeting with the teachers one-on-one. So at the beginning of the fall this year, we met with all the health science teachers to discuss their page. That included teachers from practical nursing, patient care, pharmacy tech. We walked the instructors through the page setup and each of the databases, and we found that to be very effective because we knew that we had taught the teachers how to use the page, and so they could actually use it in their classes at that point. And we learned a lot from them. For instance, our nursing department wants a section on math. I would have never have thought to put a math section in the nursing page, but we're going to get one set up now. Also, our culinary arts department was thrilled about the page, and he wants us to create boxes that have links for certain cooking styles and the history of cooking in particular cultures, and he's working with us to get the information that he wants on the pages. And so by meeting with them and having as many of them there as possible and meeting with just that subject area, we were able to get the information about what they really wanted. And as you can see from the statistics here, the page usage has increased exponentially once we had a page that was easier to find information on and that the teachers knew how to use. So what does this mean for your libraries? Well, the first step I recommend is viewing the pre-created Credo pages to see which ones you can use. There's no point wasting time trying to recreate the wheel. It's much easier to take a pre-created guide and edit it to fit your needs than it is to start from scratch. I recommend finding the pages that you like and editing or combining them to fit your needs. For example, our English page is linked to 3 different Credo pages. This allows the students a wide variety of pages to look at when trying to get the information. There's one thing that I do have to warn you about, though. Before you publish the page, you need to go through and check every single link to make sure that it works. As Credo offers many different packages, there's a possibility that your college may not have a subscription that allows you access to all of the books and articles featured. And the last thing you want is to show your students, you know, here's this really awesome book, and you don't have access to it. You cannot just rely on the LibGuide link checker to catch the links. The reason for that is they're not considered assets that you created. They're assets that someone else created, so they will not get caught by the link checker. You have to go through and actually click on every link. It is time-consuming, but it's not nearly as time-consuming as trying to create the page all by yourself would have been. And then also, the instructor needs change over time. So, for example, right now, the nursing wants that medical math page, but next year they might discover that they instead need a page that focuses on how to write a report. And so what it is as the new students come into the college, technology changes, advances are made, and the library has to make these changes to our web page so that we can grow in the same direction as our students' needs. All right. Some of the issues that we still face. I don't seem to have printed this page out with my notes, but oh, here we go. Sorry. Even though our pages have drastically improved, we do still face a few issues. One of these issues is we need to ensure that our students actually know what the search box is and what it's there for. We find quite often that students have searched for things like English 97 or library hours, and as we don't have anything titled English 97 in our system, it's not pulling up what they're looking for. So we're also working in our training sessions to teach them how to search for a book versus how to search for a page within the LibGuide, because we have 2 different search boxes for that. There is a way that you can actually set up the LibGuide search box so that it can find things like library hours. I believe there was a Learning with Lewis that covered that. There's also, I'm sure, a Springy training session that covers that. It's not one that I've come across yet that I've listened to. I've heard about it, but I haven't had a chance to view it yet. But one of the other issues, though, for us, where we want to improve on is creating a page for every subject. Although Credo offers a great many pages on the academic side, there's not a whole lot on the technical side, which means that I have to do the work myself to set up pages for areas such as air conditioning or welding. So the most important thing for these classes is building relationships with the instructors so that they'll give us that information, because I know absolutely nothing about fixing an air conditioner or a heater. If I did, my room would not be 60 degrees right now. It's rather cold in here. And if I knew how to fix a heater, I'd be fixing it. But so for these pages, we have to work with the instructors and let them know that what do you need on this page? You know, are there certain part suppliers that you want web links to so that your students can get to that? And also, excuse me, building a relationship with the instructors, we need to show them that the library is not here just to do this web page. We can help you out in other areas. So, for example, for one of our instructors, he wanted a CD that contained PowerPoints and practice tests for his machine tool class. Well, the CD was no longer published. We couldn't find it anywhere. We finally managed to contact the publisher and got them to send him a copy of it. And so by working with the instructors doing things like this, we let them know that, you know, we didn't forget about you just because you don't send the machine tool students in to do papers. You know, we're here to help you too. You just got to let us know how we can help you. And so we plan to continue getting feedback from the instructors about what we can do and how we can help them. All right. At this point, are there any questions? If not, I'm going to jump into a brief tutorial. Let me see. So, any questions real quick? All right, I'm not seeing anything in the search box, so we're going to minus this out and open up our web page here. All right, so first off, this is what our current home page looks like. It's very different from what we had the first one. We have the different tabs here that you can get into to find the different information. We finally got our Facebook and Twitter pages set up. And then over here we have the library hours. One of the things that I noticed was to try to keep scrolling to a minimum. Students don't like having to search for stuff. And so if we go into our class guides here, so as I was showing earlier, our nursing ones, how it has the different pages here. Some of these pages are coming from different Credo pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we set that up. All right. If you go in here, and I have the link here, you can see they have 58 different guides now that Credo has created. And so we're just going to click on this one at random. We're going to open it and see what it's about. So we have a whole bunch of different information here on agriculture, fruits and vegetables, food processing. So perhaps our cooking department can use this information. So, okay, look, we have a topic page about artichokes and asparagus. So we'll open one up. Let's see. So then we have the information about it. It doesn't look like it really has anything about cooking, but for the sakes of this presentation, we're going to go ahead and say that, hey, our cooking class can use this. So what we can do is we can go into our guides that we already have set up for culinary arts, and we have some tabs here. Most of these are going to Credo items, and we can do where we want to create a new page, and we want to reuse an existing page. Select a guide. It's not for mine. Oh, hold on, wrong thing. Actually went to the wrong thing here. What we have to do first is create a guide, And we don't want to start fresh. We want to copy content from a community guide. And so, Credo, what was this one? Agriculture. So, we're going to see. Oh, it does not have that. All right, so we need to see exactly what they called it. They called it Agriculture and Food Science. So, let's see if that'll, there we go. All right, now one of the important things here, we have several other pages that have the same title. We want to make sure that we're finding the one that was created by Credo. And it's not there yet, so Culture and Food Science. Okay, well, I haven't had this happen before where I wasn't able to find one. Let's see if we type in Credo. Let's try one of the different ones. It figures that the one I picked today isn't going to show up. All right, we're going to do this African history one here. Try an ampersand. Okay. Let's make sure I'm also spelling it correctly because I am a horrible speller. Science. Did I spell science right? Nope, I spelled agriculture wrong. All right, let's see here. There we go. Now it's showing up. We did indeed need that. All right, so we have our guide here. We want to use this one. We're not going to have it called copy of. We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to put down here that this is a Credo created guide for the cooking program. You'll be able to edit this information later. It's general purpose. We are going to assign this to our general education group. The group assignment is something that you can use for your college. You don't have to when you're creating it. I like doing it so that I can see later, you know, when I'm doing my statistics, how many things on my adult education, how many on my general education had people actually click on links. So I'm creating the guide, and it's going to take a minute. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, one of the things that I do not like is that it automatically puts your photo on every single page. So I have to go through and delete myself from every page because I see no reason that I need to be on every page. You also need to go through and change your columns back to 50-50. And you don't do it just once. You will have to do it on every single page. I'm hoping that maybe there is a way to automatically not have it pull that up, but I do not yet know how to do that. If any of you do, please let me know. So we're going to keep deleting all this. And delete. All right. Since we're not going to use this permanently for right now, that's all the changes we're going to make. We're going to pretend that we went ahead and did it to all of them. All right. So now we're going to go back to our home guide here, and we're going to pull up our cooking guide, culinary arts. So let's say that the page that they're going to need is the brewing page that was there. So we're going to add a page. We want to reuse an existing page. We're going to select the guide, agriculture and food science. We're going to select the page of brewing and distilling. The page name is still going to be called brewing and distilling. You can change it if you need to. And we're going to save it. And so now, when we go, we're going to open up our preview. So now when we look at our guide, this is what's showing up. They've got a picture of me and then all sorts of information about alcohol, which definitely means I need to remove my picture from that page. That's not how I want my students associating me. But so they'll be able to go in, click on any of these topic pages, and get the information about it. They've got the little mind map over here. They've got related topics. but it's a great way for students to get in and see the information real quick. So the other thing that you'll want to do is when we go back, let me close all these out. All right, so I need to remove my picture from the page. Now, you'll notice that this is a mapped page. What this means is that in order to edit this page, I can't do it here in my culinary arts page. I have to go back to the home and then back to my agriculture page, which is not yet published. And I have to go into this brewing page, and then I can remove my picture from it. So, and then we're going to change the layout here. Now when we go back to our cooking page, culinary arts, there we go. Now when we go to the brewing and distilling page, we don't have the picture of me, we do have their information. Now you'll see right here, I have my return to the library page is after the brewing page. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit, we're going to reorder and move our pages around. We're going to go here and we're going to move our return library to the very end. Ideally, you would have this return to library as your first thing up here, but you cannot do that because I've noticed that when you try to put this return to library homepage as the first box, you end up caught in a loop where you click open the culinary arts page and it returns you to the main library homepage, because with the main library homepage as the first page in here, it just gets you caught in that loop. So you instead have to move it somewhere further down the line. You could do it as your second one here. I put it at the end. So that's the basics on how to put the extra page up. If you wanted to do the entire page, you could just come here, reuse existing page. We could actually pick our agriculture and food science, and we can pick that we want the home page, and we're going to title it agriculture. We're going to check and see if I spelled that correctly. That's one thing that I wish that LibGuides had, was I wish that they had a built-in spell check. It does not. When they do eventually make that, I will be so happy, because I am one of the worst spellers ever. So now what's going to happen, we're going to go to our home culinary arts page. We're going to open up the preview. So now when we click on this agriculture page, it moves us to a completely different page here that has, oops, I did that backwards. I instead set it up so it's only coming to the home page of the agriculture. If we want it to instead go to this page, there's a different step we have to do. It's been a whole month since I've done LibGuides because we were away for the holidays. So it's a relearning process every time you come back in here. So we go into our culinary arts. We are going to remove. All right. Now this is something very important here. When you want to remove this agriculture page because you put the wrong link, you need to make sure that you go here to page and then remove map page. Do not come up here and click delete here, because it will delete the entire page, and I accidentally deleted our entire home page twice. And it's not a fun process to try to rebuild that home page after you spent all that work into it. So we're going to remove the mapped page. And that's why I said I want y'all to learn from my mistakes so that you're not making the same issues that I am. There is a backup option. I did not know that. That would be a great Learning with Lewis session that I'd love to go to, because that would save me a lot of trouble there. All right, so we're going to add to it. We're going to reuse an existing page. Pick our agriculture and food science. Select page home. Okay, I see what I'm doing wrong. All right, what we need to do is we're going to go back to the home page here. We're going to go to our agriculture page here and open it up. And then what you're going to do is you are going to copy this link here. Now, when you go back to our cooking page, and we want to add that page, you're going to click here, And you're going to tell it you want to, I keep hitting the wrong thing. We're going to create a page called Agriculture. And we're just going to click Save for right now. Now what we're going to do right here, where it says Page, we're going to do Redirect URL. And we're going to paste that URL that we just copied into here. So now, when they pull up our culinary arts and they click on agriculture, it's not available because I have not yet published it. Hold on. Sorry, we're jumping around to a million different things today. All right, go back home. Come down to our agriculture page. Publish it. Now, go back to, I should have put in some practice this morning. I knew that I had this session coming up. It's like, oh, I remember how to do all this. Now, when we click on our agriculture page, it opens to where we have the books about agriculture, the actual information about agriculture, about all of our different items. However, the issue with this, I'd like to warn you, is you start to violate that 3-click rule because, you know, they don't want to have to go to the library homepage, and then from the library homepage, go into my class guides, go into culinary arts. That right there was 3 clicks. I want them to be able to immediately say, I need information about brewing, and boom, they're there. But if I have it where it's set up on agriculture, I come in here, then I get to click a fruit and vegetable page. And so you see how we're getting to way too many links. That's why you got to keep in mind that 3-click rule whenever you're building these pages. While it's not a problem that they have to come into the asparagus page from the cooking page, we don't want them to have to go through too many steps because otherwise they're going to say, well, if I need to know about asparagus, I'm just going to Google it. So that's why whenever I'm creating the pages, I go back and I say, how could I make this simpler, get them right to the information that they want? And don't be afraid to constantly revise the pages. Also, so this agriculture page here, let's say that I don't need the information about dairy farming, or I need other information about dairy farming. I can come in to my Edit the Culinary Arts one, go into my agriculture page. We're going to say that we're going to change our food and nutrition page because this is one that I can already get to. So we need something on food and nutrition about dairy farming. You can come down here, you can add some information. We're just going to type in some information here about dairy farms. And so we can add whatever information it is, save and close, and now when we go to our page, we have the information about dairy farms. You don't have to say, you know, well, Credo set the page up like this, it has to stay this way. You can add or remove whatever information that you need to. And don't be afraid to edit. Culinary arts. Nope, I don't want to remove that whole thing. But that's most of what I have for y'all. If y'all have any questions that y'all would like to ask, please let me know. If there's anything that I did not cover that you would like me to cover very briefly with you, I'll be happy to. The main things that I discovered while putting the pages together, that 3-click rule, I cannot emphasize that enough. And then also, don't be afraid to change your pages. Find out what people are actually going to use, because it did me no good to create that. One of the pages we found was for our automotive department. I found a LibGuide that someone else had created for automotive. I went and I showed our automotive instructor this, and I said, do you want me to do this? Because, you know, I have the information here. I can talk to them, see if we can use their page. And he's like, oh, no, we don't need this because this is information that has nothing to do with the parts of the cars that we're working on. And so he instead showed me the information that they can use. So talk to your instructors, find out what it is that they really need, and don't be afraid to edit and ask for help. I wish that I had talked to Shanna a lot sooner than before I created that first page, because she really showed me how to get started on it. And check out the tutorials. They're a great help because there's always something more that you can learn, because it doesn't matter how many times that, you know, I know how to do basic color changing. There's going to be something that someone's going to mention in there that it's going to click of, oh, I wish I knew how to do that. Yes, as I say, communicate and collaborate. All right, that's really it. Are there any questions? I'm going to move.
This is Jamie. I have a quick question for you. The survey that you say, or however you got this feedback,
yes.
How were you getting that? Was it a survey that you sent out, or do y'all have a feedback form on your website now where people can just continually update you?
We actually had an email survey that we sent out. Let me turn the screen sharing back on. We'll see if I can find it. I believe it is in Google Forms. This is one that we did. This is one that we did a while back. I believe it's this one here. This one was just a library survey that we emailed out to the students. And it was just, you know, a few quick check boxes. Some things that we learned from it was, number one, we only got 10 responses, and I think about 3 of those on this particular one was me. Testing it to make sure it worked. We also had a teacher who printed out this survey, and she gave it to all of her students to fill out. And so we learned that paper surveys, even though it's a hassle having to go through and type everything in, when we did the paper survey, from one class alone of 50 students, we got 40 of them to respond. There are ways that you can email the survey out to all the students, but the problem with the emailing the surveys out is that not everybody is going to respond to it. We actually had one student who I was randomly talking to, and he informed me that I don't ever fill out online surveys because they're not anonymous. They have my email address, and therefore they have my name. So we're discussing setting up a, oh God, mine just slipped out. Suggestion box. Could not remember the word for a minute there. We've discussed setting up a suggestion box. There's also a way right now in Canvas, which is the system that we use, where you can create a survey that the students are required to fill out at the end of the semester, just like how they're required to do their class evaluations. We're going to see about doing one of those, because that way, even if all we get is out of our 1,500 students, if 900 of them send back, I don't use the library, then we got feedback that we're missing a lot of students. Yeah. And we need to find out why aren't they using the library. And then from the 600 who said, yes, I do use the library, we find out, okay, well, what do you like about it? What do you dislike about it? Tell me what you think of the website. And we have to make sure that we respond to their concerns, because I've noticed from surveys that I filled out as a student when I was going to college that a lot of times you would fill out these surveys, you'd express concerns, and nobody would ever take it seriously. It would never happen. That we said, we need this, and we said it repeatedly, and 4 years later you graduate and nothing's changed. So we try to make sure that when we do something new, we let the students know about it, that, you wanted this and we've tried. Let us know if this is what you really wanted or if we still need to work on it.
Yeah, I think that's all excellent, excellent points. Would you be willing to share the survey questions that you provided to students if anybody was interested in it? Okay. Yeah,
mostly it was, do you use the library? Which library do you use? Because we had so many different campuses. This time we only had 3. And then we asked them, what all do you use it for? This was a big one right here. Are the library hours adequate? And if not, why? Because quite frankly, we knew that at this time that the library hours were not adequate, but we needed to prove that the students want us there more.
Right.
And so by having, out of those 40 students for that one particular class, I'd say probably about 25 of them said, we need more hours. And so we were able to then show that to the administration. And that's one of the things that we're using to help us get another librarian hired, is that we're saying, hey, the students want us to be here more. We
right.
need more people. And so
it.
the way that we responded to that was we started getting the SGA students, the officers, to put in 2 or 3 hours each week so that even though as librarians we aren't here, the library is open so the students can get in and use the room and make copies and use the computers. And then if something comes up, they have to email us. And so, you know, we were able to meet that need. We saw that they wanted more hours. We worked with SGA and we found a way to do it. And then the other one was, are you even aware that we have all the online information? Which ones do you use? What type of device do you use? Have you ever attended presentations? At this time, we were trying to do presentations. We found out that the students didn't want to come to the library to do a presentation. They wanted us to come to their classroom and present it there. So we started working with the teachers to go out and connect with the teachers. And then let me get back over here. This is the one, where is it? There's one that we do, I believe it's this one, that we send out to our teachers. Nope, that's the same one I just had up. Well, we do have one that we send out to our teachers whenever we finish teaching a class, and we ask about, oh, and you can see this is the same survey just sent at a different time, and this one had 61 replies.
Oh.
So we will reuse them. We'll send them different times. Okay. We learned not to send them during finals exam week because nobody's going to answer it then.
Yeah.
You can't send it at the beginning of the semester either because students are, you know, going crazy with a million things. Mid-semester is your best bet. And it's also good if you're going to do a paper one, if you can give them just like a piece of candy of, hey, you filled out a survey, here's a little Hershey Kiss or something, because our students love candy and bribery works.
Yes, who doesn't?
Yeah. But the main thing about the surveys was responding to the feedback.
Right. Yeah,
because I think that there's just so many times that students see, you know, you've asked us this, we've told you what we wanted, and you didn't do anything. And so we try our best to meet the needs that they tell us.
Okay. So do you have a static feedback form on your website for website-specific feedback?
Mostly what we have is our students are very good about emailing us. Okay. We have the various email addresses. We have one that's just library@northshorecollege.edu, and the students will just, you know, send us an email saying, you know, hey, I'm on your website and I have this problem. And then the ones that come in to the library, the ones that are actually here on campus, because a lot of our students are taking online classes and they might come in just 1 or 2 days a week, and then the rest of the time it's all online. But we try to make sure that whether they're coming in person or whether they're talking to us online, that we get back to them as soon as we can and, you know, walk them through whatever it is they need to do. But we do not have a static feedback. We actually talked at one point about getting the LibChat, I believe it was, where we would have the chat box in there that they could instantly get feedback to us, but funds just haven't permitted us to do that yet. But maybe one day.
All right, thank you. That was all I had. Does anybody else have any questions for Bethany? You can, again, put your question in the chat box, or you can speak it.
All right, I see the comment here. Someone said that you can just use a Google form, that way there is no email tracked. That's something that would be good for us to remember. That way, if we have any other students who, you know, don't want you knowing who sent the feedback, because sometimes the students, they have a complaint and they don't want you to know that they were the one who complained, because they fear that you're going to say, oh, you're the student who was mean to us and told us that we didn't have enough hours. But we don't think that way.
Yes, yes, that is true. Yes, Google doesn't track. Also, the integrated LibWizard, which I think everybody who has access to LibGuides, or at least LibGuides CMS, has LibWizard Lite. But I will say that as far as getting the email back from that, it's a little less friendly than Google, because at least Google allows you to put it into spreadsheets and sort it a little better. But yes, that is true. They don't track email.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions coming in, so thank you all for attending. I hope you at least found something that I discussed today useful. If you come up with any questions later, you can email me. Let me pull my PowerPoint back up. I have my email address on the very end of there. And they just changed my email address. Been giving out the wrong one, but here's the correct one here. This is the new email address to reach me at. If you come up with any questions, please shoot me an email. I'm happy to help and do what I can. All right. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Bethany.